Kate Falcha, welcome to Irish Granny Helen, and welcome to my wonderful guest, Violetta, Psychic Violetta. Hello.
Hello.
I'm
Hello,
glad you're back.
Helen. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, it's always wonderful to talk with you, Violetta. I probably should say a little something. I'm not doing anything with U.S. politics anymore. And it's because I'm an immigrant and because I'm lucky if I get 100 views anyway. So I think I took Violetta by surprise. I guess she's collected questions. So if you were hoping to have your American political questions answered, I'm sorry. But I do have a topic and I'm hoping to get Violetta's insight into this. I'm really very, very, very worried about AI. Now, that doesn't mean that I necessarily understand it. It's more, in my opinion, this is purely my opinion, it's not as much a thing as it is an ideology. It's a desire to replace people with technology because you don't have to pay technology and you don't have to take technology into consideration when you're doing outrageous things, right? So let me give you an example. I really want your opinion about this. They are now using AI when you call 911. Now, this isn't everywhere, but it's a lot of places and it's becoming much more common. So they don't want to hire enough 911 operators, and they also don't have enough ambulances and EMTs. They don't want to add to make up for the need, the public need. So you dial 911 and AI is answering the phone. And AI decides, is this really an emergency? Does this person really need an ambulance? Can they have an ambulance, but later? Can they be told to wait? Or can we send them to another state on the phone, like Texas, there's a place in Texas, and have them talk to a representative that'll give them nursing advice, first aid. And people are dying because they're calling 911 and they don't know how to describe the urgency of what's wrong with them. Or AI has been trained to dismiss a certain level of people's issues. And I think this is just horrendous, unbelievable, unacceptable. And, they did a research thing and they discovered that when you have insurance and you need permission before you can have a surgery, they send the request to your insurance company, but it's not people anymore. AI is deciding, do you get your surgery or not? Should we pay for it or not? And United Healthcare, 90+% of the AI decisions were wrong. And so all these people are being told, you're fine. You don't need that surgery. Let's just have you get physical therapy, take some aspirin. And that's not my medical advice. I'm joking here. So what do you think about this, Violetta? What's your gut feeling?
I will need to close my eyes, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, I'm happy.
And sorry, I wrote all your questions for Helen, but she said, no, we are going different ways.
Sorry.
So everyone, please forgive me. I will try to accumulate those questions in Friday video.
I'll take the blame.
Yeah. And AI to me, it's like a lottery, hitting targets with in a pub in England, everyone is playing those targets. How you call them?
Darts. Yeah.
And as well, the guy from Star Trek. He is with the mask, with the sword, in the black outfit. He is not representative to, in my vision, a good values. It's just power, 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 and hitting whatever comes the way. So I will pull 3 cards. Oh shit! I don't think it is going to be appreciated by people, but it will cost, as you said, a lot of lives. And as well, controlling us. I was always wondering how come in Iran they were able to kill those top 11 guys out of 12. They knew where they are. So what was controlling them? Cell phones. They have contact controlling us by the cell phones. And different countries, not only ours.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
And the country that is not real, I can't use the real name. So, and it's working with your country. I'm in Canada. And I think that's what it is. They could pinpoint where someone is, they control where we are moving, what we are doing, or maybe we are not as important. But eventually it will be like control, control, control. And Mr. in the mask will be able to control so many of us.
Who is that person?
Man in mask. Take the word in. Take that word away in, and you will.
Oh, are you kind of rhyming?
Well, kind of. I'm just.
Oh, okay. I'm slow. Okay, I gotcha. I
You know
gotcha.
who it is, and he is the richest man now in the world, and he will be controlling AI.
Yeah. Well,
from the satellites, he's going to build so many satellites all over the world. He will have a control. He will be unnominated Tsar of every country.
Does that horrify you?
Extremely. Extremely.
Me too. I have no words. It's terrifying.
What they put, they will receive. My intuition, psychic card is
What
correct.
is the card? I can't really see it.
The High Priestess.
Okay. Yeah. In your gut. Yeah.
People will stand up for it, but it will be too late. We will be like slaves controlled by, we will be kind of robots to them. They will know where we are moving and what we are doing, what we are saying.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I said that it's not a thing, it's an ideology. The people that invented it and who are developing it and who are going to get rich from it, like the one you mentioned, are followers of a particular fake philosophy called the Dark Enlightenment. And they want every place to be governed by like a monarch, like a king, but it would be a CEO at the top, and then underneath that a corporate board, and everybody else workers. And the goal is to eliminate as many human workers, the need for them, eliminate that need, because it doesn't cost you as much money. You don't have to pay them, right? You don't have to pay benefits. You don't have to be concerned about any of that. And they have a particular worldview that is they're eugenicists. They definitely believe in the superiority of some people's DNA over other people. And we to them are ants. We're nothing. We're workers, and that's it. And if
not even workers, we will be just eating food and suffering from being poor. Everyone will be poorer and poorer and poorer, And do you think that they will get rid of people some ways?
Well, they're doing it in a way that is less spectacular. So they're denying access to health care. They're making it extremely difficult. I don't know what it's like in Canada, but in the United States, it's becoming completely unaffordable for ordinary people. And even if you have insurance, the insurance is denying treatment. And even if you have insurance and they allow treatment, it's not paying for most of it. You still have to pay a ton out of pocket. And by process of elimination, only the ultra rich will really have health care. And let's not even talk about things like eyeglasses and the dentist and stuff like that. That's just not even in the mix anymore. And so that's one way to get rid of people, is to just.
And in Canada, we have a free healthcare, but everything is such a wasting of your time waiting. My husband is going for CT scan this week, and he was waiting 8 months.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And he is waiting 2 years for some diagnosis. And I'm waiting with him impatiently.
It's
So
very painful.
for free, but you don't have the access because the waiting lists. My brother was diagnosed with leukemia at the beginning of the year, February. And his appointment is for September. Now they moved to August, but it's so ridiculous.
Yeah,
And
because that's something that gets worse with time.
it's progressing.
Right.
Apparently, he had that leukemia for 2 years. Even he is symbol of health. He looks perfectly. But it is progressing. The family doctor told him that he will make it faster, so it's in August now instead of September.
Well, somebody related to me had the same situation, but they had money. And they were paying $50,000 per one treatment out of pocket. $50,000. That is so beyond the capability of most ordinary people that,
that will kill everyone else. Yeah. And we have now private clinics in Canada.
Right. So if you're rich, you can get access.
It's even harder to find a doctor because the doctors are going to the private clinics. And if you don't have the money, then it's your choice to be poor and die.
That's exactly that. You said it exactly right. They don't care. Can't afford it? Die. So to answer your question, in one way, that's how they're doing it. They're decreasing the number of people by attrition. Just let people die. Then we have the situation that's happening now at a really alarming rate in the United States. I don't know how it is elsewhere, but no more social services, and people, well, very few, they're changed, dramatically lowered. I have to be accurate, dramatically lowered. People can't afford even to rent an apartment, and people can't afford food. So what happens if they're doing programs around the country experimenting with detention facilities for the homeless. And while they're building these with the intention of picking people up off the street and incarcerating them because they're living on the street, that's it. That's their crime, being poor. But at the same time, they're encouraging local jurisdictions to criminalize homelessness. So now you can't sleep in your car. It doesn't matter where you're parked. You can't sleep in your, it depends on where you live, but it's getting more and more common. The federal government changed laws about the Bureau of Land Management, which is like free land. I'm just empty land. There's an awful lot of empty land in this country that there's nothing on, that's owned by the federal government. And people who camp, who live in RVs or whatever, will drive into the wilderness and park to stay for a few days as just to be left alone in someplace to live. That's now against the law. And you can end up with a felony. You can end up having your car or your RV or whatever confiscated. So they're making healthcare inaccessible. They're making it criminalized to not be able to afford housing. The cost of food is becoming dire. And choices are going to start being limited as the repercussions of international conflict starts to affect the supply chain. Then you won't be able to buy what you once were able to buy. Mm-hmm. And transportation is affected because you can't afford gas. Nobody's going to hop in the car and go to a national park for a summer vacation 2 states away, 3 states away. They can't afford the gas. So effectively, they're not closing borders, but they're making it impossible to cross borders. So you see, there's ways to get around a situation where you're not obviously declaring things or changing things, but because of money and laws, you're making things inaccessible for people. And then we could talk about education. What education?
Like even in California, such a rich state, the average of education, I was just watching Zacharias, it's below 50%, 43, 48%. The kids don't know how to read, how to do mathematics. In Poland, we had the government, when I was a student, we had the government controlling school system. Every school, doesn't matter if it was a bigger city or smaller city, village, we had the same program. So eventually, when you were finishing high school and you want to go to college or university, you had the same education as everyone else. There were no Catholic schools, anything like that. It was just public schools for everyone. But the standard was so high. We were going 6 days a week, 9 hours a day, and homework for Sundays. So you didn't have any life.
Yeah, well, that's extreme too.
And there were no hooligans. Because if the police will catch you after 8 o'clock in the evening in the park, they will notify your school.
And what would the school do?
Well, they will make notes and talk with principal if you want to study. Because if you don't want to study, we had a college kind of connected with high school at the same time, 5 years, 48 subjects and languages and everything in it. I was studying Polish, Russian, German, and English, 4 languages. 2 hours a day for each language, not everything the same day. Extremely hard. And if they will catch you doing stupid things or being drunk, no one will ever do that. We will end up being dismissed from school, and then you can be a shoemaker or bags maker, like plain job for 2 years, and then you can work. No one in Poland, no kids could work until they were 18 years old.
Well, now they're lowering the rules about child labor. And you have a lot of children now that are working in places like slaughterhouses. Yeah.
No, and that was, the system was hard, but at least they educated. We had so many people with university degrees or polytechnic degrees. everyone wanted to go to have education. It was for free, but you had to be a good student to get there. So the exams were very hard, and then to stay in the polytechnic or university, it was really hard.
Competitive.
Very, very. But then you were proud who you are after you finish.
Well, now we are in a position where the unemployment rate is getting worse and worse. It's getting more difficult to even find a job. People are graduating from university and they can't find a job because all those entry level positions and internships have been filled by AI.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so people have 2, 3 degrees, like a couple of master's degrees, and they can't find work. And when they do find work, they're getting paid minimum wage. And then the expectation is you don't get a set schedule. When I was younger, in the old days, if you had a job, you signed on for the 9 to 5 shift or the 3 to 11 shift, and that was no question. That was the shift you agreed to be on. And you went in at the same time and left at the same time. You might do overtime sometimes. They didn't require it. They asked for volunteers. And there was always somebody who was willing to volunteer. But now you cannot rely on a consistent time schedule. So how do you arrange childcare and transportation? You don't have a life because you don't know from one week to the next when you might be working, what time you might be working, if you're going to be working at all. It's outrageous. And I was listening to people talking about coming out of college, applying for work, all the different jobs that they apply for, hundreds and hundreds of jobs with nothing, not even a callback.
And you see, when I was in my 20s, I had to be hired by some company. If the police would stop me for no reason, but they could stop me, and they would check my documents because we had to always carry the document. And if they will show, and I will show them that I don't have a stamp that I'm working somewhere for the government, because everything was controlled by government, or even for private person, but they have to have a stamp in the document, then they can arrest me because I'm a nuisance. And the same thing when Solidarity came to power, before 1980, because they put a lid on us on Solidarity in 1980, 13th of December. But before that, I was pregnant with my son, and he was born in 1980. I got 4.5 years maternity leave. First 9 months was full. They were paying me everything. 2.5 years, I was paid half price of my wage, and I still had the position in the hotel that I was working in. And then 4 years, I think 4 years, I was holding that position even, and I had the benefits to take vacation with the company, but I will pay for the vacation. But they have really nice places on the seaside or in the mountains, and the kids will have parcels on the Christmas time, gathering for the kids for the Christmas time to get some fruits, like tropical fruits and so on, because there was martial law. We didn't have that freedom of buying stuff, but this was still existing, and eventually they took that away from people. So many mothers had babies that time because everyone wanted to be with the child. They didn't have to pay for the daycares because the mothers were staying at home and raising kids.
Did they have good daycare?
No. The daycare was always had reputation that kids are sick and that kids are, more vulnerable and they are separated from mom. But they were good comparing what is everywhere else. I think it was standard. But
Yep.
I never had to send my son Leszek to the daycare. I was always able to stay at home, and my husband was making very good money that time. He was working for Swedish company. So, and staying for 4 years at home with your child was precious.
Yeah, it that doesn't exist here anymore.
It doesn't exist that way in Poland.
Yeah. I feel very fortunate. I was able to stay home with my children, but I was able to do it because I was able to make money but still be home within in most of the time. So I did tutoring, which I could just do at my house, right? I did daycare for one child at a time in my house. So, I was getting paid, but I was home with my children. And then when my oldest daughter was in her mid-teens, it's her birthday today, by the way.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. You know how
With
old she
Trump,
is?
with Trump, the same birthday.
Don't think I don't remind her. 45. That was shocking to me when I did the numbers. Anyway, she babysat, and I would work, but I would work at night. I started my own business and I started a janitorial service and I worked at night. And then my husband was home and, although sometimes he went to work with me. Well, we kind of cobbled together a situation where we didn't have to pay other people, but it was exhausting. It was really difficult and it wasn't a lot of money. I didn't make a lot of money. It's a very underpaid, undervalued, what's the word? What service to take care of children? People.
Well, I had day home because my kids were little, and I will pay more for paying babysitter for them when I came to Canada. And I thought, well, I can take someone else's children.
Yeah.
So I had 5 kids, plus Roman was at the age that was counting as a 6. In Canada, we couldn't have more than 6 kids.
At a home. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. My husband thought that I'm not working.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
that's a
That's
whole
what
other
he told his
video.
mom, and she told him, "Are you kidding? It's such a hard job to do that." But I enjoy it. And meanwhile, when it was so well organized, so I was able to do the jewelry as well. When the kids were sleeping for 1.5 hours, I was doing jewelry. I was cleaning the house during the day. Everything was perfect because every day parents were coming and I had to have open house. And I was so organized and so full of energy.
Well, I'm sure they appreciated you because you're, a decent person, and it's hard to find a situation you can trust.
I was friends with both ladies who were running the agency, and they told me, "You were our best provider." Yes, and I'm friend with one because the other one passed away. Both of them were Kims. And honestly, I was so organized. The kids knew when it's a clean up, because Violetta will not let you do the craft. So they were cleaning up and I will let them to do craft, and I was preparing lunch for them and then letting them to sleep. But before lunch, I make them tired, playing with them, and then they will go sleep and I will have time to do. So I was doing leather jewelry that time.
Yeah.
It is how you can organize yourself, and I was lucky.
Yeah, I think you were lucky. I think not everybody has like a physical place that's suited.
We bought a house.
Yeah.
House,
Yeah.
and that was, we were moving forward. But
Right.
I always had two. I always had 2 jobs, and my husband as well. He was working as an electrician, and then he was making beautiful leather masks. So we were both busy on weekends. I was selling the goodies that we were producing
What kind of masks did he make?
from leather
For what?
for walls decorations.
Oh, did you show me one of those? I think you might have shown me one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I forgot,
I don't know if I show you, but he was doing very well with those masks, and I was doing leather jewelry because that was profitable. There was no competition with China.
Well, no, because it's original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were doing this stuff, and and the kids were at home. I was looking after them, so
Yeah.
Leszek was older, 6 years older than Roman, but Roman was growing
Still
up.
a child, yeah.
And
I knit dog sweaters.
but there was no Chinese production of them, so probably.
No, because they were unique, right?
Mhm.
And I got the idea. I had a little dog, and it was the kind of dog that you have to get its hair cut, or it gets awful, and then it's painful. So I was trying to figure out a way to afford to do that without having to come up with money. And I had taken up knitting after many years of not doing it. And I discovered a book about dog sweaters. And I realized this is a great thing to make because you don't have to worry about fitting somebody. You just make it, and it's eventually going to fit some dog somewhere, right? So eventually the dog groomer had in her shop, she had a whole display of all these sweaters that I knit. And they didn't sell like hotcakes, but enough people would buy them that paid for my dog grooming.
Oh no, I was doing leather jewelry, and I will open the suitcases because I was doing shows at the mall or other places, and I will open the suitcase, and the ladies were jumping, and the earrings, big earrings, because that was popular.
Yeah.
And I love it. Everyone was still to this day. Oh, you are the leather jewelry lady.
They still remember. That's cool. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to talk about this because that just shows you how much things have changed because couples don't have the
ability to do that.
No, they don't. No, they can't. They don't even have that choice to make, and so they're struggling what to do with their children. And it's really sad because it's very much a class thing. And if you're poor and you're the only parent and you have to go work and you have no one to take care of your children and you're only barely making enough money to go by, people will leave their children with older children and sometimes even leave younger children. And then they get into the Department of Children's Services. They get in trouble. And once that happens, it's endless going in front of the judge and making excuses and trying to find a lawyer and paying fines and having to take classes that you have to pay for and that you don't have the money to. And then some of them lose their children. And it's not that they're bad parents, it's that they are without options.
Yeah,
it's
and
really
they couldn't
hard
afford it to work around it.
Correct. And so on top of all that, we now have all these teachers that are quitting because the children are being, I don't know what the right term for it is without
discipline.
Thank you. They're feral and they just don't have boundaries. And a lot of them are being raised by the iPad.
Oh, yeah.
Every time they squawk.
We didn't have that competition that time.
No. And I know I'm very anti-technology, so my prejudice comes out because this verifies my gut feeling. But the reality of it, and I didn't know this, that didn't knowledge of this did not create my anti-tech feeling. I had that feeling. This just validates it. Teachers are quitting in droves because they don't get support from the school administration. The parents don't know how to parent. I saw this one teacher got a phone call from a parent, like, what should we do? What do you advice on how to raise their children at home? What do you think we should do? And the teacher's this young guy. He's about 23. He's been out of college for a year. He doesn't have any kids. He's like, I don't know what you should do. Be a parent? I don't know, you know. And then you've got children that are in high school who don't know how to read.
Yes, and that's scary. I wish I knew more about technology. I'm learning and learning for the last 8 years, and this month will be that I'm 9 years on the YouTube, and I'm still learning and learning, and I'm always behind, like behind the turtles, because I'm not able to learn as fast as the little kids can learn.
Well, let me tell you, yesterday I spent 2 hours trying, experimenting with this thing called Canva. But it took me 2 hours to figure out how to get a picture, an image off the internet into the program. And I still didn't do it. I don't have even the most basic of knowledge, you know. It's really difficult.
I'm putting your picture to ask questions, but Cheryl, show me how to do it.
Well, at least you've got somebody to help you. I have nobody close by. All the people in my extended family who could help me are hours and hours and hours away, and they have their own lives.
But Cheryl is that way inclinated, and she can read some program and she can learn it. I can read, and I don't have the ability to figure out. I can only learn sentence by sentence what to do and which click to click on.
Now, I understand what you're saying, because here's how it unfolds for me is I'll think, okay, I'm not a dumb person. I can learn this. I have the internet. I can look things up on the internet.
That's
so
what
I will
telling me.
Yeah, I'll go into the program like I did yesterday, and it will say, in order to do this, follow these steps. I don't know, it might as well be in Sanskrit. I don't know what any of those steps means. So I take out my phone and I Google, what does this mean? And they refer me to a YouTube video. So I go to the YouTube video, and it's some 25-year-old guy talking 100 miles an hour. And I keep having to put it on hold and reverse it and find it and look at it again and look at it again. And I don't know what they're talking about. I have to look up the definition of all the terms that they're using to explain what they're talking about. And 2 hours later, I've still not accomplished anything. I don't really understand what I've looked up, because it's an endless string of connected. It's just another language, and I just don't know it.
And so many people our age, even I don't know how old are you, are dealing with that problem. I think they should give us some ability to learn that.
Well, I think, look, we're doing this. I mean, it was a miracle.
For people over 60.
Yes, because this technology did not exist when I was in college. It didn't exist.
25 years ago, I didn't have to. I had a computer, but I was only going on eBay to check the prices. There was no YouTube 25 years ago. There was not so many things, and Google was not as wild as it is now. So I was just going to find the prices, because we had antique store, and I was finding prices, how they are pricing something in USA and what they are saying. And there was not even too many people on eBay.
My youngest daughter was partway through grade school age before we got a computer. And before we got a computer, I never used one at all. I had no reason, right? No access, no reason. But when we got it, that would be about 2005, 2008, something like that. Before that, I didn't have a phone. I didn't have a cell. We have a rotary dial phone attached to the kitchen wall, and it wasn't a resistance to changing as much as if it's not broken, why fix it?
Change it.
Yeah. Didn't really have a need for it. But now you can't function in the world unless you're tuned into all that. I spent an hour last night taking AI off my telephone. I didn't ask for it. It just comes. You know, when you you get an email from somebody and you're responding and it tries to tell you how to answer. I got rid of all that. I hate that. I don't need somebody else telling me what to say. I hate that.
We had a computer for Leszek, and he was probably 12, 13. But they have computers at school since grade 1. So he knew they had Apples, and we bought him first computer. It was expensive, but oh gosh, he was hooked on it, and his best friend Blaine was coming to him and teaching him, because Blaine was from family of 7, and the oldest brother was the one who was working on their computer. So Blaine was coming to Leszek and practicing with Leszek because
teaching him. That's wonderful.
He was standing behind his big brother and learning how the brother was
using to work it. Yeah.
And Leszek was so happy because he was popular, not with all the other kids, because some of his friends were never into a computer to this day.
Yeah.
They are, the same age as your daughter, 45. But he loves to experiment. Oh gosh, computer was his treasure.
Well, I remember 1979. I was just, new with my soon-to-be husband. And we went to his mother's house. And his brother, who was in his early 20s, was still living with his mother. And in the kitchen, they had a big house. In the kitchen, he had this area that he created, and he had it was for the computer. This is 1979. And I said to him, I laughed at him. I said, what are you going to do with a computer in your house? Come on. What do you, well, guess who's laughing now? You were talking about, oh God, what is it you said? I had to tell you another funny story. So,
my husband was studying programming as a master degree on Polytechnic. But the programming that he was studying, it was on roll paper with the holes.
Oh, I remember that.
And it was a huge room and one computer.
Yes. And I was a science major in college.
Yeah,
and in all those years,
that was 79, somewhere there, that he was studying.
We only ever used a computer, science majors, in all those different science classes. We only ever used a computer one day. And I had no idea what any of it meant or was, nor did I care. And it was for a laboratory class. So I went with my lab partner and I let her do it all. It had something to do with cards with holes in them. And the computer was one big room. It was a whole room, floor to ceiling. And it was about 150 degrees in there. And I had no idea what any of it was about.
The smell in that room was horrible because the oils, the greasy parts, they needed to oil them. And I was working in a hotel that time in Poland, the best hotel in our city. And we were introduced to computers. Gosh, it was terrible for me because one night I make a mistake. One evening I was finished 12 hours work, and then I had to make everything make a statement for the day. I couldn't make a statement because somewhere I make a mistake.
Oh God,
I
nightmare.
stay whole night, and the next day I have to start working again.
Did you cry? I would have cried.
I was crying.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
couldn't figure out, and no one in the reception desk was able to help me.
Nobody can explain it. It's so frustrating because
I,
you know that you're intelligent and you know that given the right
I'm
information.
sure to this day to make a mistake. And the next day, the computer specialist came in, and you know what it was? Mouse make a nest in the computer room behind our wall because he said,
Oh my God.
and that was screwing up our whole system.
Oh my God.
And another story, co-op. My ex-boyfriend was, working with co-op in England, and I was closed for a few days. The huge company, and because the computer room was special building built for that reason, so it was humongous. And the mouse made a nest, so the mouses were problem for every computer places. But on another hand, I remember he was invited to computer place in England. I don't remember what, because I was young, and it was like laboratory place. It's close to London, and they wanted him to buy a computer, Apple, and they had rooms, glass door, and you are walking. Everyone is white in white outfits. The computer are smaller, not the big ones, and everyone is in the white outfit. And they were talking about computers, and I thought, I'm not going to learn this stuff because the experience I had, that too, like,
Traumatizing.
it was.
Yeah.
I was, and to this day, I'm afraid of making mistakes, so I need someone to guide me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Guess
it
what?
is paranoid because it's so scary. I'm not enjoying. And my son and Tracy, my daughter-in-law, Mom, try it. It's you can't hurt it. Yeah, but how does my brain that is traumatized, like drama, drama, drama all the time? It's scary.
It's scary because it's like you're blindfolded. You don't really know what it is you're doing. And maybe you can't hurt it. But if you don't know what you've done wrong and the outcome is not what you want, it's hurt because you can't fix it.
And for whole day, the evening and the whole night, I felt so stupid, so humiliated, and no one could
Oh,
start at the computer next until the specialist came in, and he probably came in the middle of the day, and then he said, "Oh yeah, it's a game mouse."
well, it's not a question of intelligence. It's a question of opportunity and experience and having the right kind of information given to you. It's not about being stupid. But I'll tell you what, you know what it's like for me? It's more like, the story of the Oracle at Delphi, Cassandra, and she would tell people she was given the gift of insight from the gods.
Sitting on three-legged table stool on top of the fumes
The fumes, right.
from the geyser.
Well, Zeus favored her
Yeah.
and gave her that gift, and his wife Juno was jealous. Now she could not take away the gift, but she could alter it. So she said, "Okay, you'll see the future and you'll tell people and nobody will believe you." And
Yeah, but
that's how I feel. I while you were talking, I pulled some cards because I was thinking a lot about what you were saying, so it was perfect. wait till you see what I got. I think this is really interesting. My question was in the back of my mind was, okay, these are the stories of how computers have affected us so far. We've talked about all these different things: education, healthcare, employment. The other thing we haven't talked about, which deserves its own time alone, is surveillance. They're surveilling people at work. They're counting how many times you touch your computer. They're monitoring phone calls. They're letting AI determine what you should be doing. They're, like the AI is telling you, this is your job. In the next hour, this is what you should be doing. They're calculating productivity with AI. And if you don't put out enough effort, you lose your job. So they're surveilling on that kind of micro level, but they're also using AI. And I'll give you an example. Everyone thinks this is so wonderful. The doorbell cameras, the Ring cameras that people have in their doorbells, they sell them. Oh, you'll be safe because you'll be able to look out on the street, and you'll be able to find your dog. If your dog runs away, your neighbors will all have cameras on the street, and they'll be able to tell you that your dog went by 2 hours ago, that kind of thing. And what they've done some studies, and they've discovered that kind of monitoring, that closed circuit television and the surveillance cameras, do not prevent crime. They might help police arrest somebody, but they have not lowered crime. They do not prevent things from happening. But what they do is they take away your privacy. There's nowhere that you can go and be alone with your thoughts and not be stared at and recorded. Maybe for younger people,
It's normal because they grew up in that.
It's horrifying.
And even Alexis, my son has, and he's all the time asking her this question, that question, and I thought, I have the feeling that they are observing him more than he is needy of that.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a person. You're talking about those boxes that talk to you. I hate those things.
Well, they have that. And what is the weather? What is a question? Like Google, instead of writing, he's asking questions. With my beautiful accent, I can't ask questions, even Google, because they make mess out of my words.
Oh, you use the microphone?
Well, I try it, but it never works. I will have to go for Polish language maybe, because that will be easier for them to understand my Polish language than my English.
And I think it's only fair to say that there are advantages, and language is one of them. You can translate things. That's wonderful.
Now you can translate
things. You can get basic itemized information. For example, what are the 7 deadly sins? Boom, there they are, right? But what are we losing in the interests of speed and ease and having things at our fingertips? I think we're losing those brain connections that when you make an effort and you think, your brain cells fire and connect, and they connect. I mean, that's physiologically true, anatomically. Use it or lose it. And we're not using it anymore. When kids sit down to make a school assignment and they're supposed to write a page about a topic, and they're just getting it from AI, what have they accomplished? Nothing.
I grew up with mother who was fanatic about doing crosswords.
Me too.
She was doing 100 crosswords at least in 1 week.
Oh, wow.
She was buying that brochure every week, and she was doing, and eventually my stepfather, they were competing who will be faster. And she died 95, but her brain, her memory was absolutely great. For things, if I wanted to know something, and I will call her before the Google. I will ask her, Mom, do
That's
you know
great.
this? Do you know that? And because I was growing up with her, I learned so much from her because the crosswords were always flying, questions were flying in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she will hold her booklet in her apron. And he will have, because if she will leave it on the table, her husband will
We
steal.
do it. Yeah, we have an arrangement in this house. Our newspaper gets 2 crosswords every day. One of them is a little more challenging than the other, but the first day of the week on Monday, they're both easy. And as you go through the week, they get a little bit harder. By Saturday, they're hard. And then Sunday's a big, gigantic crossword, which I don't like as much, but it does pass the time. So and my husband does that number game, Sudoku. Yeah, I hate that thing. Anyway, he always does that.
Nice. It's
I know, I hate it.
wonderful.
I hate it.
I didn't do for quite a few years now, but before I was always waiting for that moment to do it.
Yeah, he'll be sitting at the kitchen table, and all of a sudden I'll hear him start to swear, and I go, "What's wrong?" And he says, "Oh, my puzzle, I got it wrong." Anyway, I let him have. I'm so generous. I let him have the crossword puzzle until maybe Wednesday, and then sometimes I feel like I've got time and I'll do it, and sometimes I tell him to do it. But I get first claim on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then he gets the jumble. So today, this is how it goes. Today, I figured out there was a kind of a trick to the puzzle, and I figured it out, but I could not, for the life of me, remember the name of the composer of this very I mean, everybody knows this, and I could not remember.
But now you have Google. I had to go to the books. We had a huge library, and my mom will say, "Can you go and find this and this?" We had opera books, we have geography books, every subject and medical. Oh gosh, but it was wonderful. I thought that it's normal. Like I love it.
No, that's not normal. Well, see, I have my husband. I don't need Google. So I asked him.
Yeah, my mom was the Google. And I remember I was 12 years old, and my uncle was the one who liked to pinch me. God bless his soul, wonderful guy. But he was 12 years older than me. And he was always, "Do you know how much water is in the flower?" I remember that one. I said, "There is no water in the, oh, there is a water. Guess how much percent, and how to check." And he gave me lecture about horsehair, how they are testing the amount of water in the flower. Okay. And one day I shocked him back because he was always asking when we had a party. And you are 12 years old, very ambitious. And then I asked him about the river, the longest river in Europe. And I said, "Which countries it's going through?"
Oh, God.
And then
Good for you.
He was so upset, he stopped asking me questions.
A little taste of his own medicine.
Yeah,
Right?
and he thought I better don't argue with her. And my mom was so happy. She said, "That's the way you can deal with people.
Yeah.
You don't have to be upset if you don't know something, but prove that you are equal." So
Yeah, that was clever. The only thing that we have problems with is, and I hate this, is they have a lot of sports questions.
And my mom even knew those ones.
Oh, see, my husband's not into sports. I hate sports. I don't know anything.
I don't know how, that time there was so little on TV, but she was checking the newspapers every day, and her husband was doing exactly the same, and they were
Well, see, I resent the sports pages because they have remained consistently. There's a whole section for the sports, but they've cut back on book reviews and they've cut back on those sorts of things because they're saving money, you know. But there's all the sports, and I resent it. So let me show you the cards I got. So my question was AI, like what's going to be going on with AI? And I got the King of Swords. I used my horror cards. The King of Swords, they're going to legislate it more and more. It's going to be ubiquitous. There's no getting away from it. It's going to dominate intellectual properties to the detriment of society. The Ten of Swords, you know, I just think that it's we're weighing the odds, the benefits against the damage it's going to do, and I think the damage is bigger. And then I got the Seven of Swords. They're going to use it in nefarious ways and get away with it, whatever they can get away with. So the question is, why? Money, the Ace of Pentacles. They're not done making money, the Seven of Pentacles, and they want to keep money in power, the Four of Pentacles. Isn't that interesting?
I don't know yet what cards I have, but the vision that I had, it is you are in the old kind of pharmacy place, very old, from 1800s, and there is so many different medicines. They usually were using Latin, and how to mix that. You can make a poison or you can make remedies. So it is both ways. It can be helpful, curing people, and it can kill people. So I think that's quite a good vision. And the journey is not going to be easy. Sleepless nights and fulfilling the dreams. So, you know, going to the moon, if
well, I think I would never argue that there aren't benefits. I'm not closed-minded about it. There are benefits. My argument is that the benefits will not be for everybody.
Yeah, the same
for the select few.
If you will use those remedies from 1820, beginning even of 20th century, you will be, unless you know what you are doing, you wouldn't be able to make a good mixture without knowing basics. What you can put with, what you can, because you don't want to poison someone, or you don't want to, you can heal someone. So everything it was handy, but you had to know what you are using, and the same is with that. Sometimes it can be wonderful.
It's funny that you would mention poison because I've just put together some videos. You know how Denise and I do a series, Denise Siegel and I do this series where we look at pretty dramatic crimes that people know about, and usually involving, you know, a psycho. And then after I present the whole story, then she does the astrological charts of the victims and the criminals and the people involved, and I do cards. And so we look at them from both angles, from the legal point of view, psychology, and then the metaphysics of it. And we're putting together a series that's coming up here very, very soon on the woman in Australia who poisoned her in-laws with mushrooms.
I know. And it's the same thing. We were collecting all our childhood mushrooms, and when our kids were young, we were going collecting mushrooms because we know which one we can collect.
I don't care. I'm not eating a mushroom that doesn't come from a plastic container.
No, they are extremely healthy if you know which one. But the same thing, if you collect the wrong one, you can kill yourself.
Well, she went out of her way to get the wrong one.
to kill the others. But that's the thing. And our kids grew up with us, and they know that, well, Leszek is on the other side, but I know they love it to go hunting for mushrooms.
Yeah, I have
you have to grow up with that traditions from parents, grandparents to parents and to us. And because it was always a wonderful time, except once my mom got lost and we were browsing whole day. She was browsing with us whole day. But otherwise, it was always a pleasure to who will collect more.
A contest to see who could
Oh,
find more.
yes. And you had to go very early in the morning because by noon, the bugs will start eating them.
Oh, that's weird. What kind of mushrooms did you get?
Kozaki, I don't know the English names, or prawdziwki, podgrzybki. So, I don't know them in English.
I don't know why I asked, because if you said it in English, I still wouldn't know.
Yeah, so they have a lot of vitamin D, which is extremely healthy. They have good values, the good components in them.
No, nutritionally, sure. I love mushrooms, but I don't trust
The white
people.
ones are kind of iffy. They don't have that much nutrition. The white from the mushrooms from the store, but the real one from the forest, they are so.
Yeah, I'm sure they taste better too.
They are lovely, but you have to know how to prepare them again, and you have to fry them with onion. And
Did you use garlic?
my mom didn't like garlic.
Oh, I love garlic. I'm probably not a vampire. I really like garlic.
My mom never liked. I love it. I love it because I believe that it's very healthy. But otherwise, can we finish? Because I promised to take my husband for a walk.
Oh, now see, you were worried we wouldn't have anything to talk about. I laughed when you said that. I thought to myself, oh my God, I knew we could talk. I knew it. This has been so much fun, and I'm grateful to you for your opinion, because I don't know about you, but I worry that I'm closed-minded, and then when I talk to somebody whose opinion I value, I realize, there are issues.
Not a computer specialist. I'm the worst person to ask about AI.
Which is good. No, that's good, because your opinion is coming from your intuition, and that I value that. I think that's good. Yeah.
And I wish I know more.
Yeah.
I wish I could do those things that Leszek was able to do, because his younger brother is not that much. Roman is working on every day with computer, but he doesn't enjoy the computer, the challenges. Leszek loved it, and he was so happy when AI came in. He right away wrote a script with AI help. So I know that he was into things like that. I'm not. It's like boomeranga for me. I can't really know how to touch it most of the time.
No, there's something ineffable, something that I can't really explain, that I derive from creating my own writing, that you don't get when you have a machine doing it for you.
No,
there's something about your brain.
The challenge is there. And I love my visions. I hope they are not able to reproduce me.
Well, they can't, because you have a soul, and computers do not have a soul.
Yeah, so that's something that sometimes I think maybe I'm UFO, from UFO alien.
Me too. I know what you're saying.
I don't know why I'm sometimes feeling that way. I think, oh my gosh, am I from here?
I think we're all from somewhere else.
Subject. Another time we can touch that subject.
I think that's a really good subject. I got a lot of opinions about that. I think it's a really good subject. Yeah, let's talk about that for sure. Thank you. I know you have to go, Violetta. Thank you so much, and thank you for being patient with me. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
People will be watching you, because you said that there is not that many people.
I don't do this to get numbers. I do it because I think what I talk about is important, and it's not because I'm important. It's because the subject introduces itself to me and tells me it's important to share. And if nobody pays attention, I've done what I'm supposed to do, which is talk about it. Yeah. And that's what I'm doing. This is not for me about I don't know. I'm not going to become an influencer. For one thing, you don't want to see me in a two-piece spandex anything. Thank you, Violetta.
Oh,
And thank you, everybody, for watching. And we'll be back. So, slungafoil, slancha.
thank you.